Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 157 based on novel. So let's start. However, right now it is impossible for you to take my arm. The golden armored man took a deep breath before looking at Wang Lin and shaking his head. If you can ring it 15 times, then I swear to the sky demon that I'll cut off my arm for you. If you can't do it, then shut up. If you continue to be noisy, don't blame me for dealing with you. The golden armored man let out a cold snort. Wang Lin coldly looked at the golden armored man. This man's cultivation level was very high. When Wang Lin withstood that golden lance, he could tell that this man's cultivation level was at the peak of the mid-stage of Ascendant, only one sliver away from the late stage. Although this person's cultivation level was only one level above the Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief's, to Wang Lin, this level was an extremely wide gap. This was only secondary, though. The most important thing was that the spell the golden armored man cultivated was extremely tyrannical. When Wang Lin withstood the Sun Lance, he immediately noticed the mysterious force behind that power. This golden armored man's spell was related to the Yang Flame. This spell combined with his cultivation made him stand at the top of mid-stage Ascendant cultivators. He was even strong enough to fight against an average late-stage Ascendant cultivator. Unless he met a titled Ascendant cultivator, it would be very hard to defeat him. Of course, battling this person during day and night times would also differ greatly. If it was at noon, then Wang Lin would lose without a doubt. But if Wang Lin were to battle him at night and in a place with powerful yin energy, it would be easier. Wang Lin drew his gaze and no longer bothered with the golden armored man, then his gaze fell on the demon drum instead. He had already rung it 8 times, and the rebound from the 8th time had broken through almost 3,000 layers of life seals. Even if Mo Lehigh can't enter, I have already rung it 8 times. At most I only need to ring it once more to enter top 10 and not continue. If I go further and get injured, it won't be worth it. However, when I ring this demon drum, it stirs my mind. It gives me the same feeling that I get when I listen to the zither music by the riverside. Could it be that ringing this drum also helps my Tao? Ringing this drum doesn't follow my Tao, but the rebound the drum gives is a type of defying. The force I use to ring the drum is following the heavens' will, but the rebound is defying the heavens. This following and then defying creates a mysterious heavenly cycle. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light as he stared at the demon drum. At this moment, he no longer hesitated, he took a deep breath and hit the drum. The 9th ring came from the drum. The rebound from the drum entered his body like a flood. This was a defying force, and as it passed through Wang Lin's body, the life seals that were gathered on his body quickly shattered. 100, 800, 1,000, 2,200, 3, 400. Until more than 3,600 life seals dissipated. Although this force had been weakened greatly, more than half of the remaining force was still charging at Wang Lin. More than 3,700 life seals completely collapsed for the first time since Wang Lin obtained them. As the last life seal collapsed, the rebound force pierced into Wang Lin's body and moved within his meridians. It was as if Wang Lin's body was in a giant storm, as his body and clothes were violently fluttering backwards. His body involuntarily retreated backwards. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. Until the 19th step, where Wang Lin's right foot took a step back and he stopped himself. His face turned red and took a few moments before returning to normal. After seeing this, the golden armored man's heart relaxed a bit and a sneer appeared once more on his face. He thought to himself, this child can't possibly ring it 15 times, this is just the 9th time and he is reaching his limit. I can confirm that 10 times is his limit. The surroundings were completely silent. No one dared to talk after the 9th ring from the bell echoed across the square. This result surpasses the number 1 demon general, Mo Fei, and everyone knew that from this day onward, the name, Wang Lin, will shine in the Sky Demon country. It has to be said that the Demon Emperor didn't care about where people are from. Wasn't the Heaven Commander-in-Chief also a cultivator? No one talked, and their eyes were all gathered on Wang Lin. Mo Lehigh stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's change in these past few months was simply too great. 9 times. I can't do it, Mo Lihai let out a bitter sigh. As Wang Lin stood at the center of the square, all of the surrounding gazes gathered on him, but he completely ignored the gazes. Right now his expression was gloomy and unsettled, and he slowly frowned. After the rebound force was weakened by more than 3,700 layers of life seals, the amount that entered his body wasn't much. He only had to cycle a bit of his celestial spiritual energy to return to normal. But at the moment the rebound force entered Wang Lin's body, he immediately felt a strange aura within the rebound force. It contained an unyielding spirit and the dominating feeling of going against the heavens. The rebound force came from this unyielding and extremely arrogant aura. Anyone that dared to provoke it would suffer its relentless attack. Even if the sky collapsed on it, it would hold the sky up and then pierce it. This was the intent from this aura. Wang Lin muttered, defying. I was wrong before. Using the life seals to resist this defying force was the same as resisting my own defying nature in my heart. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious force. Then his entire person became very refined as he silently looked at the demon drum. At this moment, the Heaven Commander-in-Chief once again opened his eyes slightly and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin pondered for a long time before taking a step forward, then another, and another. After 19 steps, he arrived before the demon drum. Wang Lin didn't immediately ring the drum but used this palm to gently touch it, feeling its rough surface. Slivers of unyielding intent slowly entered Wang Lin through his palm. He slowly closed his eyes. At this moment, he seemed to fuse with the demon drum, and his aura slowly disappeared. The golden-armored man frowned, then he sneered and said, trying to act all mysterious, huh? If just touching the drum would let you ring it 15 times, then the servants cleaning the drum every day could ring it over 100 times. Ridiculous. He wasn't the only one who had this though, even the commander-in-chiefs all frowned as well. The Xian commander-in-chief was quite puzzled. What is this child doing? One of the commander-in-chiefs chuckled. Can this cultivator communicate with the demon drum? The only female among the commander-in-chiefs, the universe commander-in-chief, softly said, he is not communicating with it, but comprehending it. When I rang the demon drum, I also felt the aura within it. Could it be that you all have forgotten? After she said that, the commander-in-chief's expressions became serious. The officials watching from the stands could no longer keep silent and all began to softly whisper. Among the demon generals, Mo Fei's eyes lit up and he stared at Wang Lin. He softly said, could it be that you felt that aura too? At the moment Wang Lin closed his eyes, that unyielding aura became clear. This aura slowly gathered in his body and fused with his origin soul. He was completely immersed in this aura, and he thoroughly integrated himself with the demon drum. I'm not supposed to resist the defying aura from the drum, I'm supposed to merge with it instead. If I can comprehend this defying aura, then this rebound won't be able to injure me and instead will help refine my body. Wang Lin opened his eyes. His eyes were now filled with clarity as he raised his hand and gently let it fall. The 10th ring from the drum echoed across the square. Wang Lin's body was immediately met with an unimaginable force from the drum. At this moment, Wang Lin withdrew his life seals, allowing the force to directly enter his body. The rebound force moved through his body like crazy, and black drops of sweat came out from the pores of his body. Wang Lin felt the refreshing feeling of his body being purified. It was a feeling that he hadn't felt since he reached the foundation establishment stage. However, this feeling didn't last long. The force inside his body suddenly became violent. As it moved through Wang Lin's body, it caused his face to turn pale. Marrow cleansing. This child is using the demon drum to cleanse his marrow. The various commander-in-chiefs were shocked. Not only them, but cries even came from the demon generals. Shi Xiao's gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with killing intent. He raised his hand many times but hesitated and then lowered it. The golden-armored man's eyes became cold as he sneered and thought, marrow cleansing. This old man has followed the demon emperor for a long time, and the demon emperor did say that you can cleanse your marrow with the sound of the demon drum. However, that is only if you have a high enough cultivation level. Otherwise, if you try to cleanse by force, you will only seriously injure yourself. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes were now half open. He revealed a hint of disappointment and then closed his eyes once more. At the moment the Heaven Commander-in-Chief closed his eyes, he sighed in his heart. There isn't any need to observe this child anymore. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale, but his eyes were bright. There is some consciousness within this demon drum's defying force. If I were to completely fuse with it without a second thought, then although it would be considered defying, it would still be the path of the demon drum and not my own. I was injured by the marrow cleansing not because my cultivation is lacking, but because my Tao is different. In this world, whether it is cultivators or other creatures, as long as they cultivate to defy the heavens, they all have their own defying nature. Although it is only the word defy, everyone has their own comprehension, and there are countless Tao for it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up like they never had before. Although his expression was pale, at this moment, it was as if his domain had fused with his body. The light in his eyes gradually disappeared and was replaced by sadness and loneliness. Then he raised his right hand and gently touched the demon drum. Dong! The 11th ring came from the drum. At this moment, a sad aura spread out from the drum. It echoed across the square, spreading far enough to even affect Sky Demon City. The sadness in the echo from the drum was like the sadness of the zither music, it moved the heart. The sadness entered his soul formed a will, the will beat the drum, and the drum spread his Tao. The sound of the drum contains intent. Impossible, this is impossible. How could this person achieve this? This is absolutely impossible. For the first time, the golden-armored man's expression completely changed. He subconsciously took several steps back and stared at Wang Lin. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief for the first time completely opened his eyes and stood up to look at Wang Lin. In the entire square, the only person who had his attention was Wang Lin. At this moment, all of the spectators on the 3 stands were completely silent. The sound from the drum echoed across the area. This sound contained a kind of sadness, a wounded heart. Hearing this sound caused people to recall the past. Everyone within the square, including the Commander-in-Chiefs, was silent. The sublime feeling of a domain slowly trickled into people's hearts through the sound of the drum and touched their souls. Wang Lin's hand was still on the drum. At this moment, this ring from the drum had spread his Tao far and wide. The scenes of his time with Li Muwen. The loneliness of cultivating for 700 years. Those 100 years he spent in the trial at the Heavenly Fate sect. The bleakness of walking down the street in Sky Demon City. All of this suddenly stopped when he heard the zither music coming from the boat. When the zither music entered his ears, it washed his body, cleansed his soul, and refined his Tao. The zither music that the woman played and the sound of the drum fused together at this moment. Wang Lin's heart acted as a bridge to cause the 2 sounds to fuse. He used his hand to ring the drum and transmitted the sadness that had been hiding in his heart ever since Li Muwen left. The sound of the drum echoed across the square. Some of the people who were around even shed tears as they pondered this sound. They were moved by the sound of the drum and were completely immersed in a world inside their own hearts. Various things from their past appeared in their hearts. Every single person has a story, and that story is buried in their heart. However, there is a power that can drag out that story and let it surface, the power of resonance. At the moment Wang Lin rang the drum, he sent out the sentiment he felt when he heard the zither music. Among the demon generals, Mo Lahai revealed a look of reminiscence. Not only him, even Shixiao revealed a hint of sadness. Only one person was an exception, and that was Mo Fei. At this moment, he was calm, or rather, it could be called indifferent. The sadness from the drum didn't seem to resonate with him at all. No one knew when the sound from the drum had stopped, but it wasn't until long after it was gone that people gradually began to sober up. At the moment they became sober, aside from Commander-in-Chiefs and a few other individuals, those that had sobered up were shocked to find that they had been crying. The Xian Vice Commander-in-Chief let out a sigh as he looked at Wang Lin, who was next to the demon drum. The complex expression in his eyes gradually disappeared and was replaced with admiration. spreading his intent with the sound of the drum. Perhaps he is the person the Demon Emperor has waited countless years for. My cultivation, which has been stuck for so long, showed signs of increasing after hearing this sound. Aside from the Heaven Commander-in-Chief, each of the other Commander-in-Chiefs looked at Wang Lin with different expressions. However, the one thing in common was the shock on their faces. No one knew more about the meaning of being able to carry intent in the sound of the drum than them. This was a realm. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes were like lightning as he looked at Wang Lin, and the muddiness in his eyes had long disappeared. His name is Wang Lin. Wang Lin gently raised his right hand before turning around to look at his surroundings. Right now everyone was watching him. His gaze fell on the golden-armored man. The golden-armored man's face was no longer gloomy but completely pale. He stared at Wang Lin and wasn't able to say a word. Today, the cultivator before him had shocked him too many times. At the start, he rang the drum 5 times with his expression never changing and his body remaining unmoved like it was a giant mountain. Then he rang it 3 more times to catch up to Mo Fei. Then the 9th and 10th rings came, and Wang Lin was forced back on the 10th ring. At that moment, he thought it was all over, but in reality it had only just begun. The 11th ring from the drum came while he was still in shock. If this sound from the drum was the same as before, he wouldn't have been so alarmed, but this 11th sound carried intent with it. The golden-armored man questioned himself and knew that even he couldn't achieve this. This had nothing to do with cultivation but with realm. A different level of domain and the refinement of the soul. The golden-armored man would never in his life forget about what happened today. At this moment, he actually felt unwilling to go against Wang Lin, and this feeling was very strong. 15 times and you will take off one of your own arms? Wang Lin's voice was calm, but at this moment everyone was able to hear it clearly. The golden-armored man's scalp went numb. He would rather go up and fight Wang Lin. He was even more willing to fight Wang Lin without any powerful spells than to answer the question that came after the sound of the drum disappeared. Wang Lin didn't give the golden-armored man much time to respond. He withdrew his gaze, and for the first time, his gaze swept over the spectators. Each spectator appeared in his eyes, and all of them chose to avoid his gaze. Of the 6 vice commander-in-chiefs, all but one of them avoided Wang Lin's gaze when he looked at them. His eyes were filled with clarity as his gaze met Wang Lin's gaze. This person was the Xian vice commander-in-chief. His eyes were clear and revealed a hint of regret when he looked at Wang Lin. Then he clasped his hands at Wang Lin. Wang Lin nodded and moved his gaze. This time his gaze fell on the 8 commander-in-chiefs. Each of them met his gaze, and it seemed like they had learned a lot about each other when their gazes met. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief opened his mouth for the first time when Wang Lin's gaze landed on him. Wang Lin, I have remembered your name. Among the demon generals, everyone avoided Wang Lin's gaze. However, Shi Xiao let out a roar and forced his gaze to meet with Wang Lin's gaze. He revealed a hint of battle intent, but it was completely ignored by Wang Lin as he moved his gaze away. Wang Lin's gaze finally stopped on Mo Fei. This person's expression was still indifferent as he coldly looked at Wang Lin. After withdrawing his gaze, Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes and placed his hand on the drum. Right now his goal was no longer to ring the drum. At the moment the drum rang for the first time, Wang Lin felt the calling of the ascendant stage. He had touched the border of the ascendant stage. I want ascendant. Wang Lin's eyes didn't open, but at this moment his entire body was filled with a strong sense of confidence. He placed his right hand on the demon drum. Although his hand didn't move, the drum suddenly rang. The sound turned into thunder and descended into this world. The sadness from the second ring of the drum was stronger than the first. The fusion of the sadness of the 2 rings caused the sound from the drum to contain sadness as well. Wang Lin softly said, still missing a bit, as he said that, another sound came from the demon drum. 3 ring from the drum. The 12th, 13th, and 14th rings from the drum echoed across the sky. The sounds from the drum fused together, resulting in a force several times more powerful than before. This force left the demon drum and directly entered Wang Lin's body through his hand. At this moment, everyone heard a sound. It was the sound of things bursting coming from inside Wang Lin's body. This sound was very crisp and couldn't match the sound of the drum ringing. However, everyone that heard it felt a sense of comfort coming from their own marrow. Drops of black liquid came out from all the pores on Wang Lin's body. Marrow cleansing. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes shined brightly and revealed an admiration that he had never shown before. This is true marrow cleansing. Earlier you were merely cleansing the surface. The other Commander-in-Chiefs all looked at Wang Lin with a powerful sense of jealousy in their eyes. No one knew better than them why the demon drum was a treasure just below the Dragon Lake. The Dragon Lake had the spirit of the ancient demon, and it acted as a teacher that taught them Tao. This demon drum was made from the skin of the ancient demon and contained the power of the ancient demon. Rumor has it that every demon emperor inherits a spell that allows them to ring the drum to extract the power of the ancient demon from within to help protect the glory of the Sky Demon country. To cleanse one's marrow with the demon drum was originally an honor only the natives of the Sky Demon country had. Foreigners had to have made a lot of contributions to be allowed a marrow cleansing. Every commander-in-chief was given a chance to ring the drum when they accepted their position. The reward for ringing the drum was marrow cleansing. However, whether they could achieve marrow cleansing depended on their cultivation. The 3 rings from the drum fused into a powerful force that surged through Wang Lin's body. His body didn't have much impurities left as it was, and it was cleansed once more by the force from the drum. 14 times, the golden-armored man's face became even more pale. Aside from the man in golden armor, everyone else seemed to have forgotten about this matter. They were all immersed in the sound that entered their ears and shook their hearts. This was the sound of marrow cleansing. When a person is going through marrow cleansing, the sound coming from their body shakes the bodies of the people who hear it. This creates a fluctuation inside the listener's body that is weaker than the fluctuation inside the person who is going through marrow cleansing. When Wang Lin opened his eyes, all of the impurities in his body had been forced out by the drum. At this moment, he felt as if his body was about to be sucked into the sky. Then he looked at the demon drum, and his eyes filled with clarity. I, Wang Lin, have cultivated for 700 years. My cultivation has reached the peak of the late stage of soul transformation, and my Tao has fused with my body. I finally know why I still haven't reached the ascendant stage. Ascendant? Although my domain has fused with my body, my Tao heart isn't complete. In the end, deep in my heart, there is a trace of sadness, an injury, a sealed scar. When Li Muwen died, my domain reached a new level and entered my body. But Wana became a thought sealed in my heart. This is why I feel sadness when I listen to that woman's zither music. I feel sympathetic. If I were to listen to that zither music for 100 years until the woman playing the zither died, then at the moment she died, I would gain enlightenment. The sadness in my heart would disappear with the zither music, leaving only a mark that will fuse with my soul. But today, by borrowing the power of this drum, I was able to experience the passing of a century in a short period of time. I fused all of my sadness with the drum and released it through its sound. When there is no more sadness left in my heart, my Tao heart will be complete and I'll reach the ascendant stage. Wang Lin raised his hand and gently let it fall. At this moment, his thoughts, sadness, and everything about Li Muwen came out from the depths of his heart and rushed toward the demon drum with his hand. But doing this means I choose to forget. Do I really want to forget? At this moment, Wang Lin's hand trembled. To forget was to completely wipe all memories of her existence, to wipe away that last shadow of her in his heart. Even if Li Muwen's soul inside the heaven-defying bead were to wake up one day, Wang Lin would have no emotion toward her at all. He would only smile and send her back to planet Suzaku. Let all bygones be bygones. At this moment, a gentle wind blew by, lifting Wang Lin's hair into the air. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes shined brightly. He took a few steps forward to the edge of the stand and looked at Wang Lin. At this moment, it was as if he was seeing through Wang Lin's hesitation, and he muttered, "Will he press his hand down? Back then I chose to press it down. How will he choose? Ascendant? Ascendant? How could people who haven't reached the ascendant stage truly know what ascendant represents? Ascendant is a lonely road. For those without any lingering feelings or attachments, then aside from having enough celestial spiritual energy and their domain fusing into their body, stepping into the ascendant stage is extremely easy. Because it is so simple, they won't have much growth in their future cultivation because their heart never experienced this kind of struggle. However, for some people, there are lingering feelings in their heart. For these kinds of people, their domain breakthrough is a test and at the same time torture. The only female commander-in-chief, Xian Lian, had a hint of mockery in her eyes. Right now she had already recovered from the sadness, and when she looked at Wang Lin's back, the mockery in her eyes became even stronger. She knew more about the trial a cultivator faced when trying to reach the ascendant stage than others, because her master used to be a cultivator. To abandon all emotions and sentiments, do you do it? Shi Xiao frowned as he looked at Wang Lin and snorted, deliberately trying to make it look mysterious. Chen Dao, who was next to him, frowned. For the first time, he thought that the demon general he found was pretty disgusting. He pondered a bit before calmly saying, "You won't be able to understand the struggle he is going through, just like how humans can't understand the heart of a celestial." Shi Xiao turned around to look at Chen Dao and then pondered silently. The indifference in Mo Fei's face became even stronger as he looked at Wang Lin and whispered, "You are as enviable as the him from back then." Interesting. The Da Lu Sword sect cultivator behind him was the only one who heard Mo Fei. His heart trembled as he lowered his head and didn't speak. The Xian vice commander-in-chief let out a sigh. Although he wasn't a cultivator with his status, he knew a bit about cultivators attempting to reach the ascendant stage. Although he didn't know much, after seeing Wang Lin's hand pause, he seemed to have gained some understanding. At this moment, on a river far away, a boat was leisurely moving across the water. The young man who drank with Wang Lin all night was sitting at the bow holding a cup in his hand. He drank it all in one gulp and then softly said, "Little guy, how will you choose?" The woman who was playing the zither was still on the boat. However, right now she wasn't playing the zither, she was just silently sitting there. Wang Lin's hand was still 1 inch above the demon drum, and he was staring at the demon drum. For my Dao heart to be complete, I have to wipe all the sadness from my heart, but in doing so, is it really worth it? Li Muwen's figure appeared before his eyes, and scenes of her flowed across his eyes. If the price for reaching the ascendant stage really is to wipe away all the sadness in my heart, to erase Wan as figure, am I still cultivating Dao? Is this really my Dao? Wan as life and death and her eternal slumber, if I were to forget all of that, she will have become my cultivation furnace in a way. Although as I man I can't be a saint, I always have a clear conscience. The heavens are ruthless, and if I were to be ruthless as well, how is that defying the heavens? I would be going along with the heavens. Throwing away my feelings is the same as those cultivators that left the demon general competition. This is a form of escape, and it is not my Dao. My Dao is to defy and walk against the heavens. That is my path. Ancient cultivators deceived the heavens to cultivate. I finally understand the meaning of the word deceived. How is this deceiving the heavens? They were clearly running away. Although it is not going with the flow of the heavens, the destination is the same. Wang Lin's eyes revealed clarity. I can throw away the sadness in my heart, but this lingering feeling is something not even the heavens can take away from me. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly looked up at the sky. An extremely astonishing aura emitted from his body. Although this aura wasn't strong, it was enough to make everyone, including the Heaven Commander-in-Chief, tremble. This aura was like a sharp sword that shot out from Wang Lin and pierced into the sky. The sky was pierced, the clouds were pushed aside, and the world opened up before Wang Lin's eyes. This is, even with the Heaven Commander-in-Chief's mental fortitude, he couldn't help but be moved. He looked at Wang Lin with eyes filled with shock. His choice is actually so similar to the Demon Emperor's. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief looked at Wang Lin meaningfully. The golden-armored man's expression became even more pale. At the moment Wang Lin's hand stopped, he thought he might get lucky, but when that aura burst out of Wang Lin's body, he felt a disaster arriving before him. As he stared at Wang Lin's back, the killing intent in his eyes increased like crazy. If I kill him before he can ring it for the 15th time, even if the Demon Emperor blames me for this, he won't punish me too hard. After all, this only a cultivator, and not only am I someone who belongs to the Sky Demon country, I have also achieved great merits for the country. The aura that came from Wang Lin's body disappeared immediately after it appeared. Real cultivation is to defy the heavens. I don't believe I can reach the ascendant stage if I just wipe out the sadness in my heart but keep these lingering feelings. Ascendant isn't ascending the heavens but ascending oneself. The heavens can't interfere with me, only my own heart can. If my heart gives in, then I lose the meaning of defying and will be following the will of the heavens. If my heart is firm, I want to see how the heavens are going to prevent me from reaching the ascendant stage, prevent me from cultivating by defying the heavens. Wang Lin's eyes glowed brightly. He took a deep breath and without any hesitation fused all of the sadness caused by Li Muwen's departure with his right hand. At this moment, the sky changed colors and lightning filled the sky. The lightning bolts were like silver snakes coming out of the clouds. The change in the sky above the Imperial City alerted everyone in Sky Demon City. At this moment, everyone raised their heads and looked at the Imperial City. This was especially true for the people at the square. Their gazes were all gathered on Wang Lin's not-so-tall figure. Even the young man on the boat stood up and put down the wine cup. He stared at the Imperial City with expectation in his eyes. At this moment, on the top floor of the Dark Tower in the ancient battlefield where Hu Pao was training, which was tens of thousands of kilometers from Sky Demon City, a ghostly light lit up inside the helmet of the completely black armor. At the moment the ghostly light lit up, terrifying fluctuations appeared in the sky outside the tower. The ghostly light flickered and a message echoed in the tower. Heaven-defying cultivation. Very good. At the Imperial Square, all of Wang Lin's sadness was gathered in his right hand. At this moment, his right hand was filled with endless sadness, and he suddenly pressed it down on the demon drum. At this moment, the golden-armored man's eyes revealed powerful killing intent. His body suddenly moved and all of his cultivation gathered on his legs. He moved at an unimaginable speed as he charged toward Wang Lin. Accept your death. As the golden-armored man shouted, he appeared behind Wang Lin. At this moment, a bright glow appeared in his right hand as if he was holding the sun itself. I definitely can't let him ring it for the 15th time. I don't believe the Emperor will punish me if I kill him. The killing intent in the golden-armored man's eyes seemed to almost take solid form. At the moment his right hand closed in, the ground immediately began to burn. Everything within 1,000 feet was like a fiery hell. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's eyes became cold as he jumped off the stand and shouted, Jin Wushu. What are you doing? At this moment, Wang Lin turned around to look at the golden-armored man. His sudden appearance was not outside Wang Lin's expectations. Wang Lin had already noticed that this person would not admit defeat so easily. He had already surrounded his body with more than 3,000 life seals, and with the help of the 15th ring from the drum, he was confident he could block this attack. The golden-armored man sneered. It was as if he was holding the sun in his right hand, and he was smashing it toward Wang Lin. His timing was very good. If Wang Lin were to dodge, then Wang Lin wouldn't be able to ring the drum for the 15th time, and he would immediately chase after Wang Lin. If Wang Lin didn't dodge, then he was confident he could kill this child the moment Wang Lin's hand touches the drum. The golden-armored man completely ignored the Heaven Commander-in-Chief and revealed a cruel smile. As the Heaven Commander-in-Chief closed in, the golden-armored man waved his left hand. He wouldn't allow anyone to stop him from killing Wang Lin. The Heaven Commander-in-Chief's right hand formed a seal, creating a black light that collided with the golden-armored man's left hand. At this moment, the expression of the young man on the boat suddenly became gloomy. His eyes revealed anger and he shouted, You dare! Jin Wushu! You deserve to die! Just at this moment, the golden-armored man's body suddenly trembled, and the killing intent in his eyes disappeared as if cold water had been poured over his head. Then the flames within 1,000 feet dimmed and a voice echoed in his head. His face was deathly pale as he said, This voice. At the same time, in the Black Tower tens of thousands of kilometers from Sky Demon City, the ghostly light in the black armor suddenly flickered and a cold snort echoed via a divine sense message. Just as the golden-armored man said those two words, a cold aura suddenly surrounded his body. The fiery hell 1,000 feet around him was instantly extinguished. A cold snort came from the void and only entered the golden-armored man's ears. The golden-armored man's body shook violently and his armor shattered into pieces. At this moment, he coughed out a large mouthful of blood and the sun in his hand was extinguished. This video will end here.